stereophonic sound for the home is recorded on two separate tracks, each one giving special emphasis to certain sections of the orchestra, as heard from those positions. Now, when played back simultaneously on two separate systems, the sounds are blended together to achieve a new dimension in sound, impossible to obtain in a monaural recording.
Hopefully that's not bleeding too much into your ear. Let me pot that down. Good morning, everybody. Nathan Ivey is here. Good morning. Hold on. Let me pop this stuff all the way up. I want to make sure you can hear me live, local, and vocal. Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. All right, this morning I want to get things started rather fast. And as you can hear, still just haven't completely, the respiratory system hasn't completely healed, or not even healed, but still decongested, I guess is the best way to say it. How many people got a chance to check out the Is It Just Me podcast on Friday, and you got a chance to watch Donnie's conversation with Joe Gilbert? There is a clip of the conversation that's up on Facebook right now. If you missed it, you can check it out in its entirety, the entirety of that clip, and tell me what you think. My quick thoughts is that, and Donnie was very intelligent, very sharp in ferreting this out, is that there were some leaps in logic that were made with the whole Trayvon Martin hoax. Joe Gilbert had an opportunity to speak with really the core witness that, if you haven't seen the video, essentially there's something, part of the hoax is bigger than just a Trayvon Martin thing for Joe Gilbert. I mean, the whole Trayvon Martin hoax, in his opinion, in my opinion, is very disrespectful to black people. Because it goes back to this whole, Black people are like children, and they just fall for the Democrat plot. This is some more of that anti-Democrat propaganda that he weaves into the whole Trayvon Martin hoax, because essentially he says that pre-Trayvon Martin hoax, black people really weren't all that upset. There really weren't that many problems. But ever since then, we've seen a whole lot of people using hoaxes to try to move the masses, so to speak. And it was all done to make sure that black people vote for Democrats and not Republicans. I kid you not. I kid you not. It's just unbelievable. And the only persons that would believe that nonsense are people that already are predisposed to believe that nonsense. Like, if you want to believe the nonsense that somehow the blacks are conspiring with the Democrat Party, not even conspiring, that the black community in general is just the willing. Didn't somebody recently say something about black people in the Democrat Party, saying that black people were like, it was Dr. Umar Johnson on the Breakfast Club a couple of weeks ago. He essentially said that black people, and again, you see this being reinforced over and over and over again. And I become very suspicious when I see people really, really pushing that button. Because, it's like a little bit of true, but a whole lot of propaganda. Like, the black people that I know are not sheeple. If you're listening for the first time, the black people that we call the choppers, they are not sheeple. They are not sheeple. Sorry about that. They are not sheeple. This idea that black people are just sheeple, and all you got to do is just wave some chicken in front of their face and then say Democrat. Oh boy, lordy, and all the common sense goes out the window. I'm sure you can find those kind of people in all races, but we only focus on the black people, right? We never said it about Trumpsters and white folks. You know what I'm saying? It's not like and when I say we, it's not like a real big popular media push out there on all different levels. You know what I'm saying? Where you got so-called black intellectuals saying the same thing that right-wing radicals are saying about the black community. I mean, I would say, Joe, I don't know how he would self-describe himself, or self-describe himself. I'm not sure how he would describe himself, but, you know, to believe the Trayvon Martin hoax is elite. But what it goes back down to, and again, you got to watch the interview. You got to watch the interview. You haven't seen it, watch the conversation, the clips. The clips are like an hour. You can jump around. There's several clips out there, about 5 to 6 minutes in length, that you can like watch, perhaps to entice you to go back and check out the full length clip that's up right now. But I thought that she did a great job of breaking it down. And she answered, I mean, you know, my notes and her notes in terms of questions were very similar in terms of like things he didn't do. So at some point, what he figures out and what his theory is that Rachel Jeantil was not the girlfriend of Trayvon Martin. So he finally tracks down a girl named Diamond, who, again, part of the movie just sort of reinforced to me that it's just too damn easy for people to go online and get your information these days. He was able to get a couple he's walking into schools, getting yearbooks, walking out with yearbooks. And you can do that? You can just show up. You can drive to a different state and just get a yearbook. I guess so. I guess they sell these kind of things. He's getting yearbooks and cross-referencing information that he got with a Freedom of Information request. And then, you know, he's sending information out to experts. He's doing forensic expert investigations. I mean, the whole 9 yards, man. Just be careful. Just be careful. I mean, there's some security measures out there that just watch yourself, man. Just watch your digital thumbprint or your fingerprint. But anyway, so basically he finally hunts down this young black girl who he believes is the real girlfriend of Trayvon Martin, who was really on the phone with Trayvon Martin the day that he died. And you might be thinking, why is this relevant? It's relevant because Zimmerman just filed a $100 million lawsuit. And on some parts, it was the film, Joe Gilbert's film, that was part of the reason that he did it. This new evidence. So he finally tracks this girl down and he doesn't even ask her. It's like, wait a minute. You go through, he gave some reason, Donnie, but you got to listen for yourself. Make your own decision. He gave some reason about, you know, some bullshit about he thought, excuse me, wait a minute. Kids ain't going to school today. Your kids don't go to school today. They're out, so they shouldn't even be listening right now. So I think we can curse. I think we're good from the jump. Anybody got their kids around? I'll put that out first. Just let me know somehow. Perhaps join the chop shop. Get your little avatar. Be whatever you want to be. But you are among smart, intelligent people. Smart, intelligent black people. So just heads up. Heads up. Now, I know some people's schedule might change because you got a good job. So you ain't got to work this week. You got benefits. You can take the day off and get paid today. So you might not be listening live. Maybe you'll check out the show later. Great. Just have a great week. Just be healthy and take care of your family. And that's good enough for me. That's it. That's all that matters. Be healthy. Take care of your family. Good morning, people. How are you? Thank you for being here as we take yet another step into the future. I'm looking forward to 2020. I really am. 2020 is exciting. I mean, just 2020. I mean, whatever those digits to me are exciting. You know what I'm saying? And I'm excited about, you know, numerous things. I'm excited about the possibilities of expanding Sin Digital Media into 2020. I'm excited about the political process we're about to go through. I think it could be transformative locally, regionally, nationally. That excites me. What else? My son will be 5 in 2020. That's right. 5 years old. That's right. He's been here for 5 years. Thinks he's got it all figured out. Got the nerve to tell me no. But he's super excited. You know, I put my wife to the side and I told her, I said, you know, if we didn't have any kids, no shit. If we didn't have no kids, we wouldn't have no damn tree or nothing like that. We would have like maybe a cartoon picture. We have a photograph of a tree. Put up a photograph. If you're an empty nester, just put up a photograph of a tree and put your presence around it. And then my son, I had to correct him. I'm like, he's like, yeah, Santa. I said, who? He's like, Santa. I said, who? He said, Santa. I said, who? And then he stopped. I said, I don't know no Santa, son. I don't know no damn Santa. That's how you break your kids in early. I've been telling him since he was a kid, who? What? Santa? Never heard of him. You better thank your mom and your daddy. That's what I said to him yesterday. You know, yeah, hell no. He gonna be different at school. My son's a kid that, just like my daughter was, she went to the school and told some kids that there was no Santa. He's gonna do the same thing because everybody else is playing this damn game. But my kids are not playing that game. I'm not doing that. That's the beginning of that white supremacy stuff. It's the beginning of the lies that we tell our kids not to lie, and then we lie to our kids. I'm not lying to my son. He said, Santa? Who? What'd you say? You know, these are just holiday break gifts for you, son. I'm telling you. That's how you got to be, man. Cannot let your kids under that delusion. That shit is dangerous. It really is. It really is. I know people will disagree with that, but, you know, it is what it is. We can talk about it. 513-873-7134 if you would like. How many people got a chance to see Eddie Murphy on SNL? That was big. Eddie was back after many years. I did not watch it live, but I watched it, the clips of the various clips, so I didn't get a chance to watch the Seamless show. I got a chance to see Lizzo. I think she's a hell of a performer. I think she's got a hell of a voice. And, fans don't care whether some of the lyrics of some of her biggest songs she stole. Fans don't care about that. And, it's just another example of, the mentality of the populace. People don't care about authenticity. As long as you're giving them what they want, that's all they care about. They don't give a damn. They do not care. They do not care. You know it. You know it and I know it. But Eddie was back. What was your favorite skit that he did? Was it Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, in which he clearly, brought up the issue of gentrification? See, Cincinnatians, man, we can be inculcated in terms of our mentality and thinking. That's where I come in, right? I want to loosen things up a little bit, give you a different perspective. But outside of Cincinnati, black people are dealing with the same issues we're dealing with. Cities of similar demographics as Cincinnati, the black people in those cities are dealing with the same issues we're dealing with. Gentrification. Yeah, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood has been gentrified. I thought it was okay. Like, they only get a week to put this stuff together. It's not like the Dave Chappelle stand-up where he's had months and months and been working in the clubs. They get 1 week to throw this shit together. Right? Probably the most well-rehearsed act is the musical act. That's why it's so important. That's probably the most well-rehearsed act, because during the season, they get about a week. I think that's what I got through separate interviews. That's what Eddie Murphy said when he was on Jimmy Fallon or something like that. He said he gets about a week to do the skit, because when he did the interview, it was before that week, and they were asking, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I don't know." He's like, "No, seriously, what are you going to do when you go on SNL, Eddie?" He said, "Really, I don't know." Now imagine that you got a week to put this together. That's talent. You can see how talented Eddie Murphy still is. You can see that because he got into those characters. One of my favorite skits, and I think the skit that made me laugh the most, was the holiday skit where Eddie Murphy is giving a toast over the Christmas table. He said all these great things and singing the praises of his family. And he's singing individual things about people going around the table. And as he does, there's a flash to what really happened, right? And I thought it was funny commentary about, going to people's house over the holidays. Because, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big going to people's house. That's not me. It's just certain things, the Virgo in me, I just got to have that's just mine. I would rather, if I go out of town, I would rather not stay with in-laws or family or friends and rent a hotel so I can have my own space. And I'm willing to pay for that. Anybody else like that? And my wife is just different, man. She's so different. Like, my wife is so different in that way. She's the complete opposite, especially not when it comes to like anybody, but like family. But to me, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen. Nah, bruh. It's not gonna happen. But anyway, you know, so I thought that was hilarious, and you know, it was a lot of commentary in there in terms of like some very interesting observations in terms of like drug abuse. You know what I'm saying? Then we pass off like, oh, that's just Uncle Freddie over there. Uncle Freddie drunk already and passed out. There ain't nobody saying nothing. Uncle Freddie got a drinking problem. Interracial relationships where, you know, you got this black family and their daughter, the oldest daughter, brings home a white dude. She brings home Brad or whatever, throw in the name. And it was so real. It was so real what they were saying. And the son-in-law or the fiance is sitting right there. That's black people for you, man. They gonna say it right there in front of you. And they gonna say it right there in front of you. Ain't no tiptoeing around here. Boom, here's what it is. We don't like you, B. It was hilarious. The mother, she's like, oh man, you women do this all the time. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, thanks for whipping together this 15-course meal for us. Thank you. Oh, it was nothing. I enjoyed, but real time, man, she's sweating bullets. She's running herself ragged trying to get the meal together, burning-ish. Got to recook it. I thought it was hilarious. What was your favorite? Was it Gumby? I'm not sure. Did you watch? How hot is Eddie Murphy right now? I think he's pretty hot. I'm looking forward to Coming to America 2. I can see myself, unless I come up on some tickets, which I plan to come up on for you and myself. But other than that, I would pay for that. Eddie Murphy says that Barack Obama, among other people, urged him to go back into comedy. I mean, not comedy, but do stand-up. And I'm thinking, where was this at? Is this elite black folks getting together at dinner parties, talking and stuff? The hell? But during his monologue, Eddie Murphy took aim at Bill Cosby. Yeah. He basically was like, look, you know, looking back in the day, would anybody have ever thought that he would have like 10 kids and be like this family man and Bill Cosby would be in jail? I'm like, wow. That was a good little dig right there. I'm like, why is Eddie taking shots at Bill? But you know what? I can see if you in the Bill Cosby sort of universe, you would say Eddie's taking shots. But to me, honestly, that's comedy. That's comedy. I mean, that really is an obvious joke. Like, imagine him not telling that joke. Like, what other joke would he have told? You know what I'm saying? Eddie had to tell that joke and just compare himself, you know, to Bill Cosby. Because there was so many comparisons, you know, Eddie looking up to Bill the whole 9 yards. And then people's perception of what a family man really is. Real talk. Over the weekend, my wife did something that she did not previously talk to me about. And I'm kind of angry about it. And we've talked about it and we've worked it out. But my wife, you know, because we don't have the whole, we have a DVR, right? Because from time to time, they'll like to get movies and put them on DVD and old stuff that you can't get anywhere else. So she goes out somewhere. I don't even know where they were selling this trash. And she got the first season of the Bill Cosby Show on DVD. So I walked out to the living room. I walk in here, my kids in here, and Bill fucking Cosby is on the television. I'm like, what? I'm upstairs napping. I'm hearing Bill Cosby. I'm hearing the little doo-doo-doo-doo, the Bill Cosby tune in my head. I'm like, I must be tripping. I wake up, come down the stairs, and my wife has exposed our black children, y'all, to Bill Cosby. I had to control myself. I slid over to her, and I'm like, what's going on here? What we doing here? Huh? What we doing here? Why are you watching my Bill Cosby? Bill Cosby was a good family show. I'm like, what? Now, my daughter's already hip to the game. She's 14, like I told you. I do not lie to my children. I don't spare them nothing. I tell them it's the truth. My daughter, there's stuff I've tried to tell my daughter. She's like, I ain't ready yet. Don't tell me. I tell them the truth. You ask me a question, you're going to get it straight and in a very intelligent way, and I hope you're mature enough to deal with it. If you don't want to know, don't ask me. My daughter don't ask me nothing. She's not ready yet, which is not good. man, down here watching some damn Bill Cosby show. How y'all feel about that, fam? I mean, is that okay? I feel some kind of way about it. I feel as if I had to add the caveat. Like, okay, my daughter I'm cool with. And I just got to tell my son, like, look, son, I mean, just so you know. Because when he wakes up, he gets older and realizes, like, my dad never told me I was watching this creep. Because we now know that Bill Cosby was a creep. And don't give me none of that. He was set up by the white man, please. The white man that was giving him them damn date rape drugs. That's about it that he was using. So Eddie Murphy was on stage on SNL on Saturday night for the first time in 35 years. He also made a joke about how there's a lot of black people watching for the first time since the last time he was on, which I thought, again, he's got to tell these jokes. But here's the joke. He said, but if you would have told me 30 years ago that I would be this boring, stay-at-home house dad, and Bill Cosby would be in jail, even I would have took that bet. Then he says, who is America's dad now? Yeah, he did. And remember, when April 2018, Cosby was found guilty on 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault for drugging and sexually assaulting a woman at his home in 2004. Ain't nobody saying that about Maxwell. So I hate it when black people try to make excuses. Oh, man, he tried to buy NBC back in the 90s, and they still mad about that. They set him up. They don't like black men with a lot of money. Black men, they never make it out of Hollywood. That's what Eddie Griffin said on Vlad. That's his theory, that Hollywood is not going to allow you to take your money and leave. And I'm like, wait, ain't nobody said it about Tyrese. Ain't nobody said it about Jagged Edge, except for Beyonce Knowles' father. I mean, maybe that's a bad example. I mean, but it's a lot. Everybody try to make it seem like they're out to get the black man. Some of these black men are shooting themselves in the foot or slipping on the banana peel, like Bill Cosby, telling drugs about. Going back, Spanish Fly is so indecent now. Oh my gosh, man. Anyway, let me move on. So that was on Saturday. Well, then Andrew Wyatt released a statement on Sunday condemning Eddie Murphy's comments. Quote, one would think that Mr. Murphy was given his freedom to live the plantation so that he could make his own decisions, but he decided to sell himself back to being a Hollywood slave. What? What? Let me read that to you again. This is what this man said about Eddie Murphy. One would think that Mr. Murphy was given his freedom to leave the plantation so that he could make his own decisions, but he decided to sell himself back to being a Hollywood slave. Quote, remember, Mr. Murphy, that Bill Cosby became legendary because he used comedy to humanize all races, religions, and genders. But your attacking Mr. Cosby helps you embark on just becoming clickbait. Hopefully, you will be amenable to having a meeting of the minds conversation in order to discuss how we can use our collective platforms to enhance black people rather than bringing all of us down together. Damn. It's pretty heavy right there. Now, is that the Bill Cosby people overreacting? I mean, was Eddie Murphy out of line? And you tell me, 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. I was told that there were quite a lot of people out at the Renew Community Church event. And I'm not sure if anybody was there on Sunday because, he was doing another follow-up to it. If so, let me know and I'll share the information. How was it? Good morning to you. Now, Lizzo is getting crazy shine right now. She's getting crazy shine. Like, she's on with the Breakfast Club. I don't know if it's this morning or it was a previous conversation that they're replaying. But, of course, she was on the stage and she did her thing. Yeah. I like Lizzo. I like Lizzo except for that whole why men great till they gotta be great. More male bashing. You could easily say why women great till they gotta be great. I mean, it depends on the type of people you're dealing with. Once again, asking the wrong damn question. That's not the question. Why men great till they gotta be great? That's not the fucking question, Lizzo. The question is if you are the constant with all these different men, how is it their fault? So you got to decipher these lyrics for your children. They might get the wrong impression. Yeah, I mean, to me, it was just a joke, but it was not a joke. He was clearly taking a jab. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to say that's not true. But in the world of comedy, I mean, what you want to do for me? It is what it is. Pardon me. Let's see here. Remember, Mr. Yeah, I read all of that. That's quite interesting. So I thought it was cool. What was your favorite skit on SNL? Do you think the Bill Cosby spokesman didn't really have to speak out on this? I mean, Eddie's doing comedy, but again, if you feel inclined to do so, I mean, hey, you got your right. I understand it. Do you? So the Bengals now are going to have the number 1 pick in the draft next year, and I don't think anybody should have any confidence that they're going to do the right thing with it. And I just want to make a point that everybody said that Marvin was such a trashy coach. Look at the difference. Nobody's giving Marvin props right now. Everybody's trying to focus just on the Bengals. Marvin Lewis deserves props. I told people, and people didn't want to listen. D. Wade, one thing I'm really enjoying right now is the rise of player voices. So if you're someone who enjoys sports entertainment, and especially if you enjoy like the NBA and have been a fan of the NBA for years, and you're also a fan of new digital media, what you're seeing a proliferation of that. There's some really good podcasts that are out there right now, like, the No Chill podcast with Gilbert Arenas. Excellent podcast if you're into the NBA and what Gilbert Arenas does, who was a dog, by the way. He was a dog. He got a big contract and said, you know what, I'm done. Got like $60 million for playing 17 games, all of it guaranteed. So he's set for life. So he has a podcast called the No Chill Podcast. And I don't know the timeline of this, but I think he's been out there for a while. And former players, his friends, teammates, big time athletes, big time names, they'll come in and talk about their experiences as players. You're seeing more and more of this. Like the first, I can't say LeBron was the first. I mean, he's doing his thing. I think this No Chill podcast was out there before that. Now Showtime has a brand new podcast called All the Smoke, which stars 2 former NBA players, Cat and Jack, and Matt Barnes. And together they tell their own personal stories, and they also look back. I know that Dennis, what's his name? Green, who he's a shooting guard for the Lakers. He's got a very popular podcast. Again, his is more like a studio format, but it's the same kind of thing. You got players interviewing players, right? You see more and more of that. Some of that's quite interesting. So on a recent episode of All the Smoke, they had Dwayne Wade. And he talked about having to come to grips with having a gay son. Have you seen it? It's powerful. It's powerful. It's great media. And, it's great media because of it kind of challenges our conventional wisdom. Like D. Wade was like a man's man, tough guy, champion, well respected, all that kind of stuff. And here he is with talking about the sensitivities of having to deal with his son. And he doesn't refer to his son as he anymore. He refers to her as she. Now, if you go back to a couple weeks back, people was making a big deal because, Dwayne Wade and his family from their home somewhere posted a photograph of himself, his wife, and 2 of their children. One of those children was his son, Zion, who now he refers to as his daughter. And people made a big deal because his son had his nails were done. We talked about it for some time. But, in terms of the media, I think that D. Wade is handling this as a mature black man should. And he says that nothing will change his love or responsibility to his child. And he said that he saw the transformation from when he was really younger. Like when his son was born, he says that he could see it really early. He's not surprised by it. You know, these are modern day conversations that affect black families. And Zion is his son from a previous relationship. Quote, you want to talk about strength and courage? My 12-year-old son has way more than I have. You can learn something from your kids. The other thing is they refer to D Wade and Gabby Union as a power couple. And if they're a power couple, that means that they have the power, whether that be through charm or influence or money or connections, whatever, to help protect their son in a way that other people, you know, don't have the power to do. They just don't have the power to do. You know something? Yeah, quote, I watched my son from day one become into who she now eventually came into. And for me, nothing changes in my love. Nothing changes in my responsibilities. So all I had to do now is get smarter, educate myself more, and that's my job. Again, I think that's a very mature way to handle it. It's a very mature, you know, bravo to that man for not succumbing to social media pressure or some fake pressure of what people say a man's supposed to be. You're a father first. And he's protecting his child. And, you know, what if that was you? What if my son is 5 years old right now? You know what I'm saying? If he starts to project or to portray things that are making me think like, what's going on here? What are you supposed to do? You supposed to abandon your child? Surely not. Surely not. Nobody's saying that. You're not going to abandon your child. There are people out there that was criticizing this man because of his maturity, because maturity is such a rare thing these days. It's very rare. Everybody just go with their emotions. Whatever they feel, they go with it. They go with it. They go with it. They say it. I watched my son from day one become into who she now eventually come into. Think about it. That's a powerful statement, right? That's a 21st century statement right there. I watched my son from day one become into who she now eventually came into. Telling you, we are living in the last days. Living in the last days. Just a critical conversation right there. I mean, as a father, how do you deal with that? Yeah, as a heterosexual male, how do you deal with that? Well, how you deal with it will shape your child's future. Because for every D Wade, you know what's going on out here, especially in our community. Let's be real here. You know, while D Wade might be portraying maturity, you know there's some fathers out there, some black fathers dealing with this right now, and they're probably dealing with it on the opposite end, but they're not getting any shine. These kids are essentially being abused because of who they feel like they are. And like I say, I don't understand it completely. I don't understand it. I have no mental orientation over it, but I can't understand enough about the world that just because I can't understand it doesn't mean it's not real. But what do you think? Good morning. Brenda writes, happy Monday. Miss Tiffany writes, good morning. Tanika writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Ashley writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Jace Chrome Lips writes, morning, Choppers. Karamia writes, morning, everyone. Miss Tiffany writes, listen to it. Great interview. That video is a money grab. Do you have to pay to watch it? If so, I wouldn't do it. You do have to pay to watch it. You do have to pay to watch it. Karamia writes, Tanika, congrats on your new job. Best endeavor. Absolutely, Tanika. What did I miss? Good morning. New job. I love it. CJ's in the house. Good morning. Fame writes, good morning, Choppers. The hashtag alt middle remains the stewards of children. All props to Tracy Morgan. Anybody who can make jokes about being in a coma deserves props. Eddie lost points for slimming Bill Cosby yet again. So you think Eddie lost points, huh? Really? I don't think so. Because I think it was less about Bill Cosby and more about America. And I think Bill Cosby's getting his feelings. So number one, a couple of reasons why Bill Cosby getting his feelings about this, Fame. One, he's a comedian. And it's the 21st fucking century. And in the 21st century, if anybody should be able to laugh at themselves, it should be a comic. So wherever Bill Cosby is, He should not be overly sensitive that comics are making jokes about his scenario, because the irony and comedy go hand in hand. So he needs to get over himself. That's number one. Number two, Eddie's on SNL. I think Fan calling me now. Number two, Eddie's on SNL. Iconic. First time in 35 years, you got to say something that people that's going to get clicks and that people really want to hear. You got to tell the jokes that people that matter. And, that's a joke, I think, that need to be told. Number three, I don't think that Eddie's remark about America, who's America's dad now, that's more a comment. That's more a jab at America and how America can invest in false gods in the wrong thing. And how just because something looks like something on the surface, it doesn't mean that's what really goes on. So I think that's the other thing. I don't think the whole joke is about just Eddie. But let me go to the phone and see what you think. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Guy. How are you?
Hold on 1 second. Let me turn you up. What's going on? Hold on, Faye. I can't hear you at all. Hold on 1 second, brother. I can't hear him at all. I don't know what's going on. Let me see here. Oh, okay. My bad, Fame. I got you, brother. Hold on 1 second. All right, Fame. Let me put you back on, man. I got you on hold. Hold on 1 second. All right. You should be good now, man. What's going on?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can't hear you now. Good morning.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that you're all over the place and out of your damn mind today. That was nothing. Yeah, there was nothing special about what Dwayne Wade said.
What do you mean?
Owning, using she pronouns for his son. I told you, the guy lives in Miami. He cannot make anti-gay statements, anti-gay affirmations, being that is the place that made him a household name, a basketball icon.
So you think that's what he's thinking about and not his son?
Exactly. He's thinking of the bigger picture. I want to make more money and be heralded down here. They'd run him out of Miami.
That's an interesting theory.
They'd run him out of that place, just like that's why that picture, John Rocker years ago, when he said that stuff about New York, the cities, even though he didn't play there, it's like it kind of ran him out of baseball. Why? Because, baseball's headquartered in New York, and just everything you said was so specific, even though it was probably true. He can't go, he has to pretend like wouldn't you pretend like you're down with the gay movement?
No.
You're a damn lie. If you've made $500 million the last 20 years, I'd be quiet.
I wouldn't.
I'd put on face. My wife's an actress. She tells me how to hide my emotions while I'm talking and go in acting mode.
I think you're coming up with a wild, outlandish theory to not give this brother credit for being a mature black man. Just say he's a mature black man.
There's nothing mature about that. It really shows that you've gotten your ass whooped by the general public because you're scared to speak your mind. I don't think he's that mature coming from Chicago. Growing up in Chicago, but he's been in Miami the past 15, 20 years.
What difference does that make growing up in Chicago?
He in Cleveland, but went back to Miami. And they embraced him with open arms, even though he was washed up. And Miami has a significant gay population. You cannot say anything to upset that gravy train.
So what's next?
Going down there.
So what's next? Are you going to claim that?
Out of there.
What's next?
Say something about white Cubans or gays in Miami, and it's over for you.
What about the Dolphins? They're right next to the ocean, aren't they?
So he's just kind of going with the flow. He ain't stupid.
I think that's a wild, outlandish theory.
Okay, well, let it be wild and outlandish theory. What is fame known for? Wild and outlandish theory.
Yeah, that is what you're known for.
Same thing with Bill Cosby and Eddie Murphy. I didn't appreciate that. There's no need to. You already got him back once years ago when they put you in the Comedy Hall of Fame on the Spike Network.
So was that before or after?
Double down on something. Let that man live. You already got him back once. You got him back in your stand-up 30 years ago. Then you got him back just, in your comedy, at the Comedy Awards on the Spike Network years ago.
Right. And now this is Saturday Night Live.
On NBC, the network that both of y'all used to work for.
Yeah, and now they're on SNL.
For
the first time in 35
There's no
years.
Need to pile on.
I'll tell you what, I think it's very necessary, actually. What else? What would have been a better joke?
Now, it's going to be fair game when they start bringing up the pictures of you and Johnny Gill holding hands. Looking like a couple little sissies.
I disagree. I think it was very necessary, actually.
Say what?
I said I think it was very necessary, actually.
Why? Why, Nathan? Why was it necessary?
Because it was an iconic moment, and they're two icons. So why not tie it all together and make a great point about America? I thought it was a great... What would have been a better subject than Bill Cosby? You know he had to touch it.
All them Jews that be on Saturday Night Live, I can't wait to see Adam Sandler make a Jewish joke about Weinstein then. Black folks just love kicking each other when we down. There's no, especially when Weinstein's out walking, there's no need for that, Eddie. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. It was virtuoso. Those other comedians probably thought they were funny, but now they're in the presence of a real legend. They realized I got to step my game up. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, because those people that were in the audience that probably, that only know Eddie Murphy from
right, and we agree,
corny stuff,
and we agree. We agree. Then
there was no need to. That was.
Nah, you can't say that, B.
It was low hanging fruit.
No, you can't say that.
Low hanging fruit.
You can't say that.
It was unnecessary. Why can't I?
Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say it was a virtuoso performance, meaning that every part of it was perfect, right? And it all fed into the whole. And then try to pick and choose what you think should have came out of it. You don't walk up to a masterpiece and say, yeah, this is a masterpiece, except let me just change this and that. It is what it is. It all goes together.
No, there's parts of Delirious and Raw that I fast forward through. Okay, this part ain't funny. Let me get to the next joke.
You fast forward through, but that doesn't mean that somebody else, another consumer,
okay,
that might be a classic moment for them.
I'm giving my opinion on his performance. I thought that the Bill Cosby joke was unnecessary because at first you were out there saying that, I'm not going to do that. The first time they asked you to come through, you said, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't getting no dude like that. And then now all of a sudden they up the ante for you, and now you want to you got a movie coming to America too that hell yeah I'm going to go see.
Right.
But now that they've upped the ante for you a little bit, the monetary ante, now you find it okay to take jokes about the man? No, we're not doing that, Eddie.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Bill Cosby is subject to be joked
that's
about.
What the white man wants you to do. Knock on your brother.
There we go. They ain't never stopped you.
So we're not going to sit up here and say black folks this and we shouldn't be taking each other down and then laugh at that joke, especially when we know there was other white men that was doing it too. And there's one right now out on bail who's selling his case away, a Jewish man that Adam Sandler won't say a damn thing about when he goes back and home.
And when he does, we can talk about it. Until then, we're talking about Bill and Eddie.
And we're talking about Bill and Eddie. That was one joke that Eddie could have just skipped over, said, nah, let's do something else.
He could have, but I'm glad he didn't.
He could have done that.
I'm glad he
got that
didn't.
kind of clout.
He could have, but I'm glad he didn't.
Bringing him back. You want some other stuff with this one. Like I said, you all over the place this morning. Your opinions are black men this morning. You should be ashamed of yourself. You need to go start the show over, take a shower, start the show over, and come back with some masculinity and pride in your being a black man.
How did masculinity come into this? What the hell is you talking about?
I feel let down. And if this doesn't turn around in the next 5 minutes, I won't be listening until 2020. I'll holler.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the call. Well, you got to do what you got to do, B. You got to do what you got to do. He is nuts. He is nuts. Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. And I'm entitled to mine. But I hear what you're saying. That's a wild, outlandish theory. So let me get this straight. D. Wade made $500 million. Let's say he's got a third of that in the bank. His wife is one of the highest paid, or was one of the highest paid, personalities on television, bringing about what, 8, 7, 9 million a year, something like that. And they're worried about public pressure because they don't want to upset the gays. That's a wild, outlandish theory to undermine what is a black man showing maturity in this situation. He's showing you how to love your son if your son becomes your daughter. That's what you do in public. That's what it looks like. Would it be better if he was punching him in the chest, trying to make him be, you're going to be lions only, trying to make him tough, trying to make him box. Speaking of lions only, how many people got a chance to see that Charlo fight, man? It was a hell of a fight, boy. Woo! Lions only. And what is it? Jermell Charlo ends up getting his belt back because his challenger started showboating. Yeah. I watched the clips of the fight. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He starts dancing around late in the fight. Literally. He's dancing around the Pride Detroit's, dancing around. He's doing all kind of goofy-ish, getting lax, and got caught to the chin with a left hook. Boom, boom, buckled his knee, buckled his legs, and it was quickly over after that in the 11th round. And from the analysts, because I watched the entire clip, the analysts say he was up in the fight and was probably going to win on the card. Damn. So, I don't know what the moral of the story is, man. Don't showboat. And he just looked distraught afterward. And I'm like, dude, you just blew it. You blew your deal, homie. You blew your deal. He was a round and a half away from being a champion, started dancing in the ring and got caught to the chin. Oh, my gosh. See, Pat writes, good morning. Sharp writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Grand Risings, all that's from Ray. Brother Muzone writes, good morning, Choppers. Mason Marler writes, morning, Nate and the Choppers. 2020 grown man moves. Hashtag spec on Santa's. I'll put some respect on Santa's name. There is no Santa. There's no fucking Santa. He ain't black. He ain't Asian. He don't exist. Period. He never did exist. And Little Buddha's known. I can't remember. We told her pretty early. I just wasn't having it. I didn't want to play the charade ever. You know what I'm saying? But, my son's excited because of the tree and the lights and stuff like that. Pictures of the family up on the tree. And then presents. Because really, we could take the tree away and just give him presents, and he'd be cool with that. He'd be straight cool with that. I learned a long time ago, kids don't give a damn about all that Christmas stuff. All that Rudolph, man, they're just trying to get you buttered up so you can get them the best gifts ever. All they care about is the gifts. That's it. That's all they care about. And they really don't care who they come from. Shit. And they can look at the box and say, from grandma, or it could say from Mephisto. You could put from John McCain on there. They're like, oh, thank you, Mr. McCain. And they will take that present. Who is John McCain? Try it. Try it. Take some of those gifts and just put like a famous person's name on there, right? And see if your kids take the gifts or play with the gifts any differently. You see what happens. You're going to be disappointed. From mommy. Hey, you want your kids to give you all that love? You take mommy off of there and you could put hold on one second, John. John from Princeton, New Jersey's calling in. You could put D Wade on there. You can put D Wade on there, and they're gonna love that phone, whatever you get them, just the same. It was a great moment. We had all these black men who had came through SNL. You had Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, you had Chris Rock, all standing together at black comedy. Kenan Thompson. Who else was there? Tracy Morgan. And there's some legends up there, man. I thought one of their better jokes was when Dave Chappelle said they had half of Netflix budget on stage. I thought that was a little bit of a dig at what's the girl name? Monique. Because Monique's got a lawsuit right now against Netflix alleging that they tried to lowball her. And they didn't offer her as much money as they do some of the other comics, including, and she called out some of the men's name on stage. Yeah. That Dolomite is my name. Is that a good movie? I'll be honest with you. Something about it. I ain't want to watch that shit. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, I want to watch him walking around talking about, I'm Dolomite. Do I really, is it intelligent? Is it worth my time? Because if it's not, I can't watch that shit. I'm sorry. You can just give me your critique of it, and that can be the critique for the show. But I thought it was pretty interesting. Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Tracy Morgan. If you had to rank those four men, here is my ranking. Well, see, you got different types of comedians. Like, who is the best stand-up between those four men? Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Tracy Morgan, and Dave Chappelle. Okay, so like off the top, we already know that Tracy Morgan, sorry Tracy, but it ain't working, B. It ain't working, B. You got to go buy Tracy Morgan. So now you got the top three in no particular order have to be Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, and Dave Chappelle. Speaking strictly of stand-up, because if you want to go into acting and then like animated characters and all that kind of stuff, that's something different. Okay, just stand up. Who is the best? Who is the best? Now, if I asked you if you can only get one ticket, obviously you're gonna take the Eddie Murphy ticket because that's the rarest ticket. If Eddie Murphy come to town and he doing a tour, you better fucking go see it because it's one time only. You know what I'm saying? You know, something tells me Chris might tour again, and so will Eddie. I'm sorry, so will Dave. I would have to say, let me see here. This is going to be tough. Stand up. Stand up. Man, it's tough. That's a tough one. Because these three men are all these three comics are very good stand up. I'm going to let somebody else take the first shot at it and set the foundation for the conversation here. I'm trying to figure out, in just stand up, who is the best? Eddie, Dave, Chris. I need you to rank them for me. 1, 2, and 3. Brother Muzone writes, I watched it yesterday. I loved it except for the Buckwheat skit. Lizzo did her thing, and her dancers were dressed in Dapper Dan Gucci outfits. Yeah, Lizzo did her thing. Got no problem with Lizzo. I had no problem with the thong. I mean, she 30 years old and she a pop, rock, rap star, music star, entertainer. She living her best life. And she is changing the paradigm. Well, she is challenging the paradigm of, looking a certain way in order to feel confident about yourself. I got no problem with it. Cincinnati Enquirer has put out their memorable stories of 2019. Their memorable stories of 2019. And I want to go through this real quick. Covington Catholic in the spotlight. Remember when those young boys from Covington Catholic High School exploded into the national psyche back in January when millions upon millions of people saw the video at the National Mall between the students and some of the people that participated in an Indigenous Peoples March? Remember that? Remember Nick Sandman was wearing a Make America Great Again hat, and he stood across from Nathan Phillips, an Omaha tribe elder, and all of the young man's classmates were chanting around him, and people saw it as disrespect. Remember this young white male with a Make America Great Again hat on? And the media's been reporting it, but nobody really has been going critical about it. But that family has been trying to sue everybody. They tried to sue the media. I mean, they're trying to get rich off of it. $750 million, $250 million lawsuit. Now, son, remember that? Remember Skylar Richardson? That was a young white woman, one young white female from, what was the area? That was up in Warren County. She used to go to a high school, Carlisle High School. She was a cheerleader. She hid her pregnancy and then ultimately killed her child because she wanted to protect her all-American image at all costs. Had a baby, killed the baby. And a jury found her not guilty on all charges except abuse of corpse. And this young woman got away with killing her baby. Let me see. FC Cincinnati in the West End, I agree. City Council approved building the FC Cincinnati's Major League Soccer Stadium in the West End, and the conversation has continued. We've talked about the displacement. What was the name of that older black woman that was displaced? You had black businesses that were displaced. And people still talking about the gentrification. Man, people still talking about it. Let me see here. Music venue conflict. I'm reading from Cincinnati.com. That's the Cincinnati Inquirer. And these are the top stories for 2019 from their perspective. I'm interested because I'm compiling a list myself. Gang of Five in their text. That was a big story this year. You had 5 council members. Ultimately, the lawsuit related to the matter settled in March of 2019 with council members admitting they were wrong and agreeing that taxpayers would pay $101,000. Tracy Hunter's the biggest story, I'm sorry. Tracy Hunter, 10-year saga, was given a 6-month jail sentence and was literally dragged away to court on July 22nd, 2019. Literally. And she should have no problems with her legal bills because local media got so much money out of that. I mean, millions and millions of views. Everyone was watching what was going on. And she was released early after she got 3 days of credit for every served by doing ministry work in the jail. So I thought Fame was like, man, that's not a big deal. But she was doing the ministry work. Right? She was trying to be an asset. Kroger downtown opened. Let me see. Resignation of Todd Portune. Yeah, these are all real big stories. What's the biggest story from Black Cincinnati in 2019? From the African American standpoint, what's your perception? Is it Tracy Hunter? Is that the biggest story? We all agree on that? Let me see. Yeah, that Xmas dinner skit had me rolling. Yeah, that was hilarious. It was so real. It was so real. That was hilarious. That Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood was hilarious and on point with the gentrification, right? Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood has been gentrified, and that's pretty much it. He's still in TVs. Let's see here. The Cookie Network skit was funny because he let the word shit slip out his mouth. That was hilarious. Cassandra writes, hey, choppers. Mason Mahler writes, what did Jagged Edge do? Well, apparently many, many years ago, back when Destiny's Child was first getting started and they were like underage, they did a tour with some other bands, including Jagged Edge. And Matthew Knowles, in a recent interview, said that, you know, these like young 20-something Jagged Edge members was pushing up on Beyonce and the others Destiny Child members. What the term he used was sexually harass them. See, what about when Bill Cosby took on the black community? How soon we forget? Thank you, Mason Mahler. So that's the reason why I'm not caping for Bill Cosby, because Bill Cosby let it be known how he felt about the black community. He let it be known. I mean, he went on a media tour criticizing black people, making excuses for police violence against black people. And it was quite interesting. Quite interesting. It was so interesting. His voice was so loud on the matter. He was on CNN. He was doing all the shows that a very, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson wrote a book all about it. Yeah, people forget. Bill Cosby was not like 100% like with the black community anymore. He was on some old ivory tower elitism type of stuff. But as soon as he gets in trouble, he wants to say black man down and wave the black man symbol. And some people are very susceptible to that. People saying that Eddie Murphy was hilarious. Mike Jones writes, good morning. Tracy writes, hi. Cassandra writes, but it's the truth. When Cosby's show was out, who would have thought that Bill would have ended up in jail for what he in jail for? And Eddie was out being hot in the ass back in the day. He's not lying, so what's the issue? That's the other thing, Cassandra. There is no issue. Eddie Murphy told the truth. He's not lying. He didn't make that up. You know what I'm saying? What do I always say? Nothing is funnier than the truth. Nothing's funnier than that. Kevin Hart has made a career out of telling family stories. Funny, but very real. Maybe he might, turn it up a little bit here or there, but true stories. Why? Because it's unique creative property. Nobody can do you better than you do you. Kevin Hart, if you go back to his earliest and funniest stuff, he's just telling you stuff about his uncle, how he's growing up in Philly. That's it. If you listen to his stuff now, he talks about what's going on in his life. That's what he talks about. Because nothing is funnier than the truth. Fame writes, well, let's see if Adam Sandler makes jokes about fellow Jew Harvey Weinstein. By the way, today is the second day of Hanukkah. L'chaim, he writes. Okay. Brother Mazon writes, exactly, the Dolphins has a first-year coach, and they had 37 players injured, and they still managed to get 4 wins out of them. The major injury the Bumbles has is A.J. Green. No excuses for only winning 1 game. The reason why they only won 1 game is because they have a weak-ass coach with a weak-ass coaching staff. That's why. And he didn't know what he was doing. But everybody wants to act like, oh, this is just what you do. We could have kept Marvin for this. I'll say it again. The very least that Zach Taylor can do is to pick up the heavy mantle of leadership when it comes to being a head coach and leveraging that for the children of the Hamilton County area. I don't know if he's doing any philanthropy or working with nonprofits, but he should be. Because that's one way that he can win. It's clear it's going to be a struggle for him to win on the field. But he can leverage his celebrity and that Bengal icon to attach itself to some nonprofits, to some causes here locally that really matter. Because he's not giving us what Marvin gave at all. On no levels. Pat writes, if I recall, Cosby talked about Eddie because of his language. What is worse, raping women or cursing? I'm just saying. Brother Mazone writes, nah, that's Gabby Union's doing. He failed, period. Mr. Avery's in the house. Angela's in the house. She writes, good grief. Fame writes, AJ Green is only the second best. Okay. Eddie Murphy looks great for his age. He does. He does, but he should. He's rich. Right? He's got a young wife. They birthing babies together. You know what I'm saying? He's walking down to get lattes and fruit juice swirlies every day. He should. He does look good. He does good. Angela writes, way to feminize the next generation. Angela writes, tragic. Why are we putting the blame on Gabby? What did she do wrong? Nothing. But people like to blame women, and black women in particular, for everything that goes wrong. It's the black woman's fault. It's Gabby's fault. It's not anybody's fault. I just feel like there's people who feel like they were born a certain way, and there are parts of our culture that's more accepting of it, and more people are deciding to choose their honesty. And again, think about the scenario that this young boy is in. His father is D. Wade, one of the most respected, worldwide known NBA champion, and he got a whole lot of M's in his bank account. His stepmama is Gabrielle Union. Between the two of them, I'm sure they got a nice network of very influential people that give a fuck about them. And they rich, living in mansions. And it looks like they're 2 very mature people. That's a great sort of environment for a child to feel comfortable enough to be who they are. You know what I'm saying? Because he has the ability to perhaps protect his son in a way that a working person or an average Joe may not. So I don't have no problem with it, man. I think he's being mature. It would be much worse if he was like, you know what? No, we got a school for this. We're going to put you in this school. They're going to re-educate you, and you're going to be a real boy. I want a son. And would that be better if he just flipped on his son? No. It'd be worse. It'd be worse for his son, and it'd be worse for the culture. Or maybe not. What do you think? Tanika writes, yes, enjoying my 2 weeks vacations before my new job. Enjoy it. That is a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time, especially if you're not worried about finances, It's a beautiful time, like from one job to another, and it's a better job. Oh, it's a beautiful time. Enjoy. Tracy writes, Bill Cosby thought drugging and raping women was a joke. Spanish Fly, old man, sit down. Right. He thought it was a joke. Somebody writes prayers to Tracy and her family. What's going on, Tracy? What I miss? What's going on? Hope everything is okay. Okay, we got John. Hey, John. Hold on, John. Hold on. Let me tell John to hold on a second real quick. Hey, John, hold on 1 second. Hey, John, you there?
Yes.
Yeah, hold on 1 second for me, John. I got John on the line. Brother Muzon writes, I have to agree with Fame. He is absolutely correct. Correct about what? Oh, my God. Our little black boys are getting beaten down, killed, and taken to the nail shop. Lord, deliver us. She's right about that. Mason Muller writes, F Bill Cosby. He was drugging and sexually assaulting women. I'm not caping for Bill. The F? Right. Pat writes, Fame. Bill brought this on himself. Right. Bill brought this on himself. I mean, how many more women did Bill Cosby think that he was going to be allowed to abuse? I mean, there were like a dozen incredible people that came forward. Now, some of them women were just like Angie Dickinson, nuts. She made it all up. But that's what happens. He didn't tear down Bill though he made a valid point about where they both were in their lives 30 years versus now. Where was the lie? Right. There was no lie. There was no lie. People who might be upset with Bill Cosby are either playing a role like Fame or they were just like close to Bill Cosby. You know what I'm saying? I disagree, Miss Pat, but I love you too much to disagree with you in here. Mason Marlon writes, the fight was fire. The fight was fire. A couple times I thought Patterson was going to take Charlo out. Well, I just thought that he was up on the scorecard. I thought that he was up on the scorecard. And you said, you talking about Tony Harrison? Tony, what's his name? Tony, they both got nicknames. Tony, it's something Harrison, who was the current super welterweight champion. He beat Jermell Charlo a year ago. Everybody knows anything about boxing. The Charlo brothers are twin brothers. Very exciting. I think they're 157 and 159, or 154 and 159 or something like that, respectively. And this was a big fight, man. Tony Harrison, he had it. And he started dancing around and got lax. And I saw, if you watched that fight, you saw Jermell Charlo, he missed that same left hook like 4-5 times. Same left to the body and then left to the head. He kept doing it over and over again, and he kept missing. But he caught him once in the 11th round, and that was over. And that was over. For people to see, you know, look what people got to do to try to get ahead, man. You got to beat your brother to death to try to make some money in the boxing ring. But, you know, they call that boxing. They call that professional sports. So it is what it is. Right, Nate. Although Christmas is mentioned, Leviticus 23:40. Is that right? Sister V writes, Hotep, beautiful black people. Damn, that was a stab at Monique. I didn't catch that, LOL, right. Yeah, they was like, Dave Chappelle was like, we got one half. We got 50% of Netflix budget on stage right now. And I'm like, somewhere Monique is not happy. Yeah, Dolomite is my name. It's a good movie, Nate. Thank you. Okay, I'll check it out. Dolomite is fire, but I don't go back that far, so I'm not sure how authentic it was. Okay. All right. Dave Chappelle stand-up is fire, yes. Cassandra writes, I would put Dave before Chris. So Dave before Chris. Dave before Chris. Dave and Chris are very similar. Could there have been a Dave without a Chris? I'm trying to find a timeline here because I know Tracy Morgan. So if we had a 1, 2, 3, and 4, Tracy Morgan is going to be last. We know that. Number three is going to be. Hold on. I need to see Delirious one more time. I need to see Delirious one more time. You know, because we're also talking about different eras here. We're talking about, it's like the Jordan debate. We're talking about different eras. Dave, hands down. Tanika writes Dave, hands down. So we talking about Dave, Eddie, Chris. So you telling me Dave Chappelle goes before Eddie Murphy? Man, that's I don't know. That's a tough one right there. Tracy writes, Dave, Eddie, Chris. Dave, Eddie, Chris. Okay. Fame writes, Eddie is best. Chris is corny and overrated. Chappelle is second by default. Fame writes, Eddie, Dave, and then Chris. Brother Muzon writes, Eddie hasn't done stand-up in years, so we are going off Delirious and Raw, so I got to reorder Dave, Chris, then Eddie. Jace writes, Eddie, Dave, and Chris. It's clear to me that Dave is top 2. That's clear to me. It's clear to me that Dave is certainly top 2. Eddie is on the cusp, and Chris is third. You know what I'm saying? I think Chris is third. It's really between Eddie and Dave. I just realized Muzone said Dapper Don, LOL, hilarious. I'm sorry, Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan. Ms. D writes, I like the elf skit the best. The elf skit. I might have missed that. I don't think I saw the elf skit. Like I said, I watched I went to their YouTube page and watched it there. Very 21st century. QB for Cincy Stucks. Tell us something we don't know. They couldn't even beat the Miami Dolphins. I mean, think about this for a second. I don't know how much money Zach Taylor's getting paid. But they could have paid me half of that, and I could have gave them the same results. I just do the press conferences and go over the game plan and make sure everybody's sound. I make sure everybody else is on their JLB, and boom, that's it. Brother Mazzone writes, oh yeah, that's why I like what Lizzo and her dancers had on. Right. Angela writes, no way in hell that this is better for the culture. GTFOH. I believe it is. I believe it's better for black culture, and I'll tell you why, simply. Because what I believe ultimately D. Wade believes that he's doing and what I'm seeing him doing is projecting black's love to his son. And I think that's far more powerful than, let's say he was just openly like, you know what? I'm going to drop my son off somewhere because he talking about he gay. You ain't gay. You got a problem. You got a mental disorder. I think that conversation is more destructive for our culture than him showing love. Let me see here. She writes, turn your son to a girl, fine, but that's on you. Nothing role model worthy to see there. But he didn't turn his son into a girl. That's not what D-Wade did. He's just accepting that his son feels like he's a girl. I don't think they turned their son into anything. Now, maybe what you're talking about is like if you create a permissive culture for every little whim and whatever that a child wants, that's not showing leadership to your child. But I'm not really sure that's what D-Wade and them did. I'm not sure what they did. I don't know. Brother Mazone writes, I said Fame was absolutely right about D-Wade. Oh, my God. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Mr. Mahler writes, 42 years on earth, and I've never been accused of sexually assaulting a woman. I plan to keep on keeping that streak alive until I die. Charlo came out throwing bombs. Yes, he did. He did. I didn't see anything different. What I saw is that he tightened up and got more aggressive. And even in doing that, I thought that up until the 11th round, he was losing the fight. I thought it was going to be a close decision. Angela writes, what's the most uplifting thing to happen to black folks in 2019? In Cincinnati, in general, okay, let me see. The most uplifting thing to happen. That's a good question. I mean, for me, I would kind of look at some media stuff. You know what I'm saying? I would say like maybe one of the most uplifting things from a media standpoint to happen was just the announcement of more digital media platforms. You know, the success of the Roland Martin show, the continuation of this show into 2020, Black News channel that's coming soon. And the reason why is because I think what that's going to do is it's going to rev up interest in new digital media, and it's going to create other people that's looking like, oh, boom. Oh, I love what they're doing. I want to try to recreate that, probably in cities and regionalities around in regions around the country. See what else. I don't know. I'll throw it out to everybody else. Sister V writes, Eddie, Dave, and Chris. Eddie, Dave, and Chris. Chris Rock was a funny motherfucker, man. I mean, Chris Rock had some classic stand-ups. He really did. I mean, he solved our gun crisis, but nobody wanted the gun violence crisis. Chris Rock solved it. He said, look, we need to put a premium on bullets. We need to make it so that when bullets are too cheap, we can't control the guns, so let's control the ammunition. He is so right about that. He is so right about that. Nobody wants to listen to Chris Rock, though. So, I don't know. I think Eddie I'm talking about just stand-up. I would have to say that Eddie is not the best stand-up. How could he be? You know, number one, stand-up is not what he do. You know, he did stand up back in the day and then stopped doing it. And then I think what Eddie is really good at is movies. I think what Eddie is really good at is animated voices. I think Eddie is like good with that shit. You know, if we was talking about who makes the better movies, we already know it's Eddie Murphy, hands down. I think that Dave Chappelle is a stand-up artist. That's what he do. That's what he's doing right now. You know, he was doing sketch comedy, and again, if we said who does better sketch comedy, Dave Chappelle. Nobody else can beat that. So I would have to say Dave Chappelle is number one, followed by Chris Rock, and then Eddie Murphy. That's what I would say. No, I would put Dave before Chris Rock. Eddie Murphy is first, hands down. Dave, Eddie, and Chris. Eddie, Chris, and Dave. Dave, Eddie, Chris. I think it's Dave, Chris, Eddie. I'm going to put mine in here. Dave, Chris, Eddie. Dave, Chris, Eddie. Sister V writes, Nathan, how many years you been on digital? 3. 3 years. I mean, the time just flies. It does. And I just look back sometimes like, wow, it's been amazing. Fast Pitch writes, how can someone who's never been female know what it's like to feel like a girl? Hey, good morning to you, Fast Pitch. How are you? I don't know. I have no answers for that. I just look at it like, if that was my son, what would I do? And I see myself handling the same way as D Wade, especially to the public. I'm going to embrace my son and make my son feel as comfortable, my son, daughter, feel as comfortable as he can, and try to be the best parent I possibly can. And I don't think that means like shunning him in public. Now, again, as a parent, you might end up doing a lot of shit that if you wasn't a parent, you would never do. And I look at that as just one of them because it's better for the child. Is it better for my child for me to publicly criticize my child and question who they are? Or is it better for me to project a more mature, attitude? You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, what would you do? These are modern day conversations. These are modern day conversations because the culture, American culture is different. And there are far more alternative, images in all of media. On your Netflix, on your Hulu, you got these characters now and you got these different storylines being written into these characters. And it could be in children's stuff. They don't tell you. because this is mainstream now. And so children are watching this stuff, and the favorite character one of their favorite characters' best friend who lives next door, who is a prominent part of the show, got two moms. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Hold on, I got to go to the phones here because John's going to kill me. Fame writes, all the local black political candidates is rather uplifting. I hope one beats Dieter's. Do you? Yeah. Well, which one? Well, which one beats who you think is better to beat Dieter's? But I agree with you. I'll take either one. Yeah, I would take either one over Dieter's any day of the week. No, I would put Dave before Chris Rock. Eddie is first, hands down. Okay, so you're saying Eddie, Dave, and Chris. See, I don't think Eddie is the hands first down. I think we're getting caught up with nostalgia. I do. Like, Eddie did stand up early in his career for a short time, and then he stopped. He delivered some classic moments, right? Stuff that for a certain age group will always resonate with you. Ice Cream Man and all that stuff. We got it. But that's not what he does. And he ain't been doing it for a long time. Dave, that's what he do. We got how many specials on Netflix? A whole lot of them. So I'm saying this right now. But what we really have to do, this conversation, we'll have to pick this conversation up in a year. Because it'll probably be the end of 2020, early 2021, when his stand-up comes out on Netflix. So that's the other thing, is Eddie Murphy is supposed to be spending this 2020 working on his stand-up, which means going to different clubs and stuff, and he's going to shoot a Netflix special soon. After that Netflix special, we'll be able to have, some modern examples. But let me go to the phones here. Good morning, John. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivey and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as good people around the world, and the choppers. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome.
Before we get into the celebration of holiday and Christmas, you were chiming in on the Eddie Murphy. I watched bits and pieces. I was flicking channels trying to catch as much as possible. If I had to rate his show that particular night, 1 to 10, 1 being bad, 10 being great, I give it a 7.5. You were rating all four of those characters up on the stage, and if I had to give a rating, Dave Chappelle, I would rate him first, Eddie Murphy second. And the reason why I do that, Eddie Murphy in the old days, yes, is outstanding. You have to rate him over those guys. But Eddie Murphy is much older. The skits I saw Saturday, if I had to rate those skits, 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a 6.5, maybe 7. I thought he was going to blow the show off the hook. Yeah, the ratings were high, but, as you indicated, with his stand-ups, they're outstanding, the old stand-ups. But, and yes, I see what you're saying. It's a possibility he'll do Netflix. But, it was okay. It was an okay show. I might have missed 1 or 2 skits from flicking back and forth, looking at different channels, but it was an okay show. And for some of those people that are upset that he threw a bomb at Bill Cosby, Bill and his people need to shut up. Come on. Nobody doped anybody except Bill. So you may not like what Eddie throwing a knife dagger out there. I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think he was throwing a dagger. He was just taking an opportunity of the possibility of comedy. Comedy is comedy. But if you had to rate all the comedians, I think you have to throw Robert Williams in there too. The passing of Robert Williams, in his day, he was hot too. And Jim Carrey, too. You got to forget about that. I think about 10 years ago.
Well, I was just rating those guys because they were on the stage. It wasn't like all the comics. It was just those guys that was on the stage on Saturday night.
Well, I'd like to hear your opinion about it and about the all-time comedian other than Robert Williams. I know he passed away a couple of years ago. But Jim Carrey is very, very talented. I mean, it was talk maybe 5-8 years ago about a movie, and they were going to put Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, Jim Carrey, and Robert Williams. Before there was talk about all 4 or 5 of them doing a movie together, but it never came off. Maybe it was just internet talk, but somebody was pushing it, or somebody with some big money, and then it died, and you didn't hear anything. I wish they would have done it. I mean, they probably would have blew up the screen. I like Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey is very talented, towards his acting, comedian, his stand-up. And Robert Williams, before he passed away, I think he's good too. I mean, he's a ball of energy. And Eddie Murphy, as I indicated, in the old days, yes, you couldn't touch Eddie Murphy, 20, 30 years ago. But now he's older, and maybe he was to me, I felt he was slightly pulling back a little bit on Saturday night, and it's good to see the 4 comedians up there, 5 comedians that he had up there. That was fine. But the skits, I rated 7.5. I thought he was going to blow it off the hook. I like his stand-ups. I thought I was going to get a little bit more of that edge of the stand-up. I didn't get it too much. It was okay, 7.5. Some people just, I guess they want to bring him back. See, people forget that Eddie Murphy, yes, was on Saturday Night Live, and it was a big fight 25, maybe almost 25 years ago. He had a big fight with Saturday Night producers, Saturday Night Live producers. And they wanted him, and every year they kept, when they had the anniversary, 5, 10 years, they kept inviting him. He refused because of that fight he had with them. They threw a lot of money. He still refused. And then about a couple of years ago, it was kissy, made up. And then slowly they brought him back. So, and now they're bringing him back in. He'll probably come on every now and then. But I guess, as you indicated, with how many kids? 10 kids? Wow, a lot of kids. As he was making a joke out of it in his stand-up, I got to pay for this. I got to pay for these 10 kids and probably ex-wives. So in that mansion you're living in, that stuff adds up after a while. So you got to keep the ball rolling and keep himself busy. And I understand. Yeah, he has his new movie out. And then he talked about, I think he said, coming back to America, coming to America 2, that they finished shooting, so that'll probably be out sometime next year. So it's promotion time. I got it. It's promoting and possibly doing maybe stand-up sometime next year. So, but, overall, if I had to rate it 1 to 10, I give it a 7.5. Okay, let's get into Christmas holidays. I'm not a fan of Christmas holidays. And I'll tell you why. When you got brothers and sisters out there on the street hungry, kids are not eating properly, and look at the black community as a whole over the last 30 to 40 years, never been a fan of Christmas holidays. I'm more content with bringing family and friends together, a nice meal, a couple of drinks, and that's my celebration.
Okay.
I could care less. I could care less about Christmas.
Right.
And celebrating.
I'm very similar.
When one day, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, nobody is being lynched, nobody is being hung, they ain't calling you the N-word. But right after New Year's, it's back to business as usual in America. So how are you going to tell me between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm not saying you, Mr. Nathan Ivey, but America says, we're not going to mess with you black people between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And after the New Year's, then it's back to calling you the N-word. So, or lynching or hanging you, or the police, the so-called police you call that protects and serve with your taxpayers' dollars, ready to gun you down again. So, I don't want nobody to be hypocritical and tell me, if you don't like me, if you want to call me the N-word, call me the N-word all year round. Don't just give me a reprieve for about a month or two, and then you're back to calling me the N-word again. So at least I know where you stand. So I could care less about, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that garbage.
Right.
Because I prefer rather to pull family together, sit down, talk,
I got you.
drink, have a nice meal, and then off into the sunset.
Right. You're right. And I think that's how a lot of people look at it. I mean, don't make the mistake of thinking that everybody is like gung-ho on the Christmas tip like it is in the Bible and all that. That's not how it is. A lot of people, it's a day off, and they kind of go with the flow if they got kids, and that's about it.
Yeah, and now as we get ready to gear up after the New Year's, and then it's back to politics, and we're going to get back into those flows because of the fact that you're ready to elect the next, possibly the next president, or the rat will just recycle right back into the White House at the Democrats.
I got 30 seconds for you, John, then I got to make a move, man.
So, John, a.k.a. retirement of Zorro, is no longer Zorro. He's now a.k.a. the Watchman. Tick tock, tick tock. Have a nice day.
Thank you for the call. Strange as hell. I don't know. He's the Watchman now? Oh, my God. Hold on 1 second, please. Oh, man. Had to cough there a little bit. Yeah, he's the Watchman now. I guess you don't even understand. The Watchman is like the name of the whole group. This guy, man. This black man. Y'all love him, though. Y'all love him. Y'all love him. His line is now available if you like to share some witty repartee, as one of my favorite talk show hosts used to say back in the day. I guess I got to pick up the mantle of the witty repartee coming from the city of Cincinnati. And share your thoughts at 513-873-7134. I've got some audio that I want to play for you. And this will go back to some of the things that we've talked about already today, including audio of, like I said, I love podcasting. I love it all. I plan on continuing podcasting into 2020, especially with more local, politically oriented politics, local, politically oriented podcasts. And number one, why not? Because you can't have enough conversation about what's happening locally and what's happening in our communities. But let me grab this for you. Okay, give me 1 second here. Oh, yeah, and then I saw a great write-up of Ray Ball. Ray Ball, I've been trying to get her on the show. She's a very busy woman. So a great write-up about her in the media over the weekend. What? Oh, man, that's crazy. Oh, give me 1 second here. This is a cool podcast called All the Smoke, hosted by Matt Barnes and Captain Jack. That's what I refer to him. That's how I know him. And I think they both got rings, although one of them wasn't really playing. Matt Barnes got a ring with the Golden State Warriors a couple years back. He didn't really do a damn thing. He says it's hard for him. He don't even have the ring. You know what I'm saying? I feel that. And they are two former NBA players, and they talk to former NBA players. And it's a great conversation, really take you into the mindset of these brothers if you're really into that kind of stuff. But they recently sat down with D Wade to talk about, and other things, what's going on with him and his son. And some of the controversy surrounding having a son who identifies as a girl. They've been very public about it. They've taken a lot of critiques, a lot of heat. People blame Gabrielle Union. It's not even her son. I don't get it. And people blame them. But what do you think? And here it is, D Wade, a black man. If nobody's ever going to say that D Wade was a punk, D Wade was not a punk in the NBA. He was one of the best players. He's going to go down as a first ballot Hall of Famer, 3-time champion, the Flash. And he's married to Gabrielle Union. And he's dealing with this in a very public way, right? People keep asking him questions about it. Check this out.
We've seen recently the social media stuff and, how supportive you are with your youngest son, and him feeling comfortable enough to come out, and you guys being so loving and supporting. And it gives me chills right now even talking about it, because the negative backlash you got really bothered me. I'm on social media arguing with people man, what the fuck are you talking about right now? Right. You know what I mean? That unconditional love. But touch on what that is like, being a professional Hall of Fame player, playing in a masculine sport, and then your son being a homosexual and then being comfortable enough to have that kind of communication with you at such a young age, which I think is important.
Yeah, it's first of all, you don't talk about strength and courage.
Incredible.
My 12-year-old has way more than I have. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can learn something from your kids,
right?
But in our household, man, that's all we talk about. We talk about making sure our kids be seen by each of us. Me and my wife, we talk about making sure our kids, understand that they're, the power in their voice. We want them to be whoever they feel that they can be in this world. That's our our goal. Understand you can be whoever, you can be whatever. Now, it's some things that's going to, while you're trying to go down that process, this is what's going to come at you. It's going to be a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of hate. And it's not even just from my son's sexuality. It's just about being a young black man or a young black woman.
First and foremost.
Right?
Yeah.
So everything that comes with that. So for us, man, when I respond to things socially, I'm not responding because you hurt my feelings. I'm not responding because I even care enough of what you're saying, because it's we say in the hood, it's ignorant. Why I'm responding is because I understand my platform. I understand that I'm speaking for a lot of people that don't have the same voice that I have, right? As a father, or I'm even speaking for my 12-year-old right now, because I haven't allowed him to sit in front of a microphone yet. But I'm speaking for for so many others, in the LGBTQ plus community. So for me, man, like I said, it's just my version of supporting. Like, I had to look myself in the mirror when my son at the time was 3 years old. And me and my wife are having conversations about, us noticing that, he wasn't on the boy vibe as Zaire was on. And I had to look myself in the mirror and say, what if your son come home and tell you he's gay? What are you going to do? How are you going to be? How are you going to act? It ain't about him. He knows who he is. It's about you. Who are you? You know what I'm saying? So all these people that's out there saying those things, look at yourself. Understand that you the one that got the issues. You the one that got the problems. It's not the kids. It's not the ones who decide that they born a certain way and you say they got to be that way. It's not. That's not life, man. I watched my son from day one becoming to who she now eventually is coming to. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's all about nothing changes with my love. Nothing changes with my responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? So only thing I got to do now is get smarter and educate myself more. And that's my job. You know what
I went through it, growing up. My oldest brother is homosexual, but I think me being around him and understanding being different, is the reason why I'm so loved by everybody. It's the reason why I'm able to sit and have a conversation with everybody from any race and be anywhere, because
that's Steven Jackson. I mean, it's a dope podcast, man. If you like podcasts and you into the NBA and you find that kind of stuff interesting, that's a dope one. It's a lot of I'm seeing more and more of them, and where artists are taking control and harnessing the power of digital media to tell their own stories, to have complete control of their narratives. The world is different now. The world is so different. You can hear directly from these individuals via their social media accounts, because, that's what the technology allows us to do. And that's a pretty good one. So I got a few little sports podcasts I like to check out. What are some of your favorites? Throw them out there. Love to hear it. If you want to call in, 513-873-7134. I thought that D-Wade is showing maturity. And I get it, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm with you. Is there an attack on black male masculinity? I agree. I see it. However, he says some real stuff. He says some real stuff, like getting over yourself. Can you get over yourself as a man to do what's right for your child? A lot of men can't do that. They'll get too caught up in what other people think about them and all this kind of stuff and what they tell themselves about masculinity. I don't think that D-Wade's masculinity has anything to do with the way he's treating his child whatsoever. I don't think one has anything to do with the other. And he asked a question. These are questions that modern day black families should be asking themselves. They should be asking themselves that. Like, what would you do? Your son come home and tell you that. I got a 4-year-old right now. We looking at this boy. I'm looking at this boy to see what he's into. Is he into the boy stuff and all that kind of stuff? I'm doing all the same thing fathers do. All fathers do that in the modern era. I think anyway. Sister V writes, but Dave stepped back for years just like Eddie, but it is. Y'all remember Raw with that leather suit? Yeah. Yeah, the leather suit was great, but the leather suit was just a suit. You know what I'm saying? We talking about stand up. Who is the funny? Who's going to make you laugh? Who does the best show? And it's got to be, in my opinion, it's got to be Dave, Chris, and Eddie. And I'll tell you why. I'll say it again. Because stand up is not what Eddie does. I'm not dissing I'm not trying to dim his light in any way or diminishing him as an entertainer. I'm just saying that's not what he does best. This is what Dave and Chris do. They've been doing it for years. They got many specials and comedy stand-ups on Netflix right now. Eddie Murphy's about to do his first in 30 years. How could he be doing it? He's not the best stand-up. No. He's not. He's not. Now, if we said, let's create a category, who's the best, who makes the best movies? Like, who's funniest in the movies? We know. We know who that is. It's Eddie Murphy all day long. If the question is, who's the most talented? It's Eddie Murphy all day long. Best animated voices, Eddie Murphy all day long. But stand up, it's got to be Dave. And really, if you're going to do all four of them, here's what it really is. Dave, Chris, Tracy Morgan, then Eddie. That's really what it is. Fame writes, there no gay gene, Nathan, please stop it. He said, there's no gay gene. I don't know about if there's a gay gene or not. I don't know anything about that, man. I'm not even sure there needs to be a gay gene, okay, in order for somebody to feel that they're a homosexual. All I'm saying is it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious. See, all the local thing right here. Yeah, Popeye Chicken isn't definitely it, LOL. Well, Popeye's Chicken was a big story. I read that Popeye's Chicken is estimated to have gotten about $66 million worth of free advertisement from all those people on social media posting, photographs of their chicken sandwiches or being in line or doing. One guy even did like a whole music video where he got up on the thing and was singing. Remember the song we played? It was all about Popeye's Chicken. It was good too. It was a good song anyway. All right, here. Pat writes, I want to listen to Chris Rock. See, Dave, Chris, Eddie. Ray is on point. Dave, Chris, Tracy, Eddie. We're talking about stand-up. Tracy Morgan is better at stand-up than Eddie Murphy. Now, this is subject to change in a year. Cassandra writes, but back when Eddie was doing stand-up, he was doing Kevin Hart-like numbers before there was Kevin Hart. He is solidified as a great comic stand-up and in movies. Kevin Hart is he just came out of nowhere. You're right. Kevin Hart is tremendous and very talented. And very real. Very real. When I heard he went on the Breakfast Club and they asked him, like, man, you do the same character all the time in every movie. And he said, yeah, I do. And he said, I'm going to wear this character out until I can start to develop and grow and do other characters. He kept it real. My issue with Kevin Hart is that Kevin Hart doesn't really get political. He doesn't talk about politics. And to me, if you're not talking about politics and it's not infused in some way, then, and not just politics, but like shit that's going on as well, because that's politics as well. I'm not talking about like Democrat and Republican. I'm talking about the shit that's going on affecting, non-white people. I just feel like that's the best comedy. And I think Chris Rock was very good at that. Dave Chappelle is real good at that. They are real good at like weaving in shit that's going on right now that people have been talking about, some hardcore racial shit or police brutality. They're real good at using irony and weaving it into their stand-up. And that's what I like about them. We don't know what Eddie Murphy's going to be. To me, I would love to hear, I don't want Eddie Murphy to be like light. You know what I'm saying? He got to be as hard as Chris and Dave Chappelle are in terms of his social commentary. Because if not, then what's the point? What's the point? It'll be whack. Dad was on the road too much, so his son found other behaviors to emulate. I mean, Angela, but he's got another son. He's got two other sons. Maybe. You could be right, but it doesn't matter why. The only thing that matters is that I think his son says, Dad, I'm gay. I feel like I'm a girl. What do you do if your son says that? You gonna try to put him in a church? Sister V writes, good morning to you, Black Russia. Das Fadanya. Sister V writes, truthfully, Eddie, Dave, Chris are all badass, talented brothers. You gotta love them. Dave is the reason I got Netflix today. Right. Dave Chappelle clearly is on that level. He is number one stand-up right now. He's even ahead of Chris Rock. Dave, Chris Rock, and I'm not saying that Tracy Morgan should be next, but let's say in that list, Tracy Morgan and then Eddie Murphy. A boy will never be a girl. A girl will never be a boy, period. Yes, that may be true, but boys can be princesses too. Don't forget that, Tanika. You know, I'm going to reach back because I sent in an invitation to get the creator of that on my show, and I haven't heard anything back. There's actually a nonprofit. I think it's in Chicago. And you can dress up as a princess if you're a little boy and take pictures and all this kind of stuff because a toy is a toy. A toy is not a toy. There's a big difference between playing with a Barbie doll, regardless of the race, and some Hot Wheels. There's a big ass difference there, okay? I don't even know what I say. Black Russia writes, is Chappelle is the GOAT. Hashtag alt middle. Chappelle is stand-up GOAT. Fame writes, saying Dave is best is being a prisoner at the moment. I don't think so, because Dave has done it over time. I don't think so, because Dave has done it over time. You remember, we don't remember it, but Dave used to do like a little stand-up in the middle of those skits. Hilarious stuff. Hilarious stuff. Swizz needs to put her on timeout, you funny. Just like Alicia Keys taking her son to the nail shop. No logical reason. Did he say Gapel? Yeah, he said Gapel. We already know he makes up words. Eddie makes sure he puts other comics on just like Martin. Tracy writes, Eddie showed that over a 35-year hiatus, he is still relevant and funny. He brought his characters up to date with shit that's going on today. Right. Right, Eddie. What you can see is Eddie Murphy is very talented. And, you know, even like basketball, like Kevin Durant stopped playing basketball for 10 years. It's a little different because his body's going to change, athletic. So let's say Kevin Durant stopped playing basketball for 2 years. He still has dope potential, but it's going to take him time to get his rhythm back to get back to his optimal performance level. I think same thing with Eddie. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
How are you, sir? Welcome.
Thank you. I was just calling. Somebody said that Tracy Morgan's funnier than Eddie Murphy doing stand-up.
Yeah, I said that.
You said that?
I said, who's the better stand-up? If I had to be honest with you, it'd have to be number one, Dave. Number two, Chris.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Number three, Tracy, and then Eddie Murphy.
I just don't think Tracy Morgan's funny in any capacity. I've never been a fan. I mean, when he was on Saturday Night Live, I never thought he was funny. Like I couldn't tell you anything of significance that Tracy Morgan's done. As far as stand up, I know he do a lot of stand up, but it don't be funny. I don't think maybe the joke's over my head, but I don't think he's funny at all.
Okay, so we take out Eddie and put Eddie at 3 then, and then Tracy's last. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I can roll with that. I mean, as long as Eddie Murphy's not done stand, because I agree with your premise that when you said Eddie ain't did enough stand up in the last 30 years to be better than Chris or Dave, I agree with that. But it's like Tracy's so terrible stand up wise, in my opinion, that Eddie can be away from stand up for 30 years, come back and still be better than Tracy Morgan.
You might be right about that. You might be right.
Man,
I don't know.
He's terrible.
Are there any Tracy Morgan fans in the Chop Shop? I just throw it out there to the Chop Shop real quick.
Yeah, I mean, even in the movies, he's okay. Don't he got like the last OG? Have you watched any of this last OG on Netflix?
I have not. It's supposed to be funny though, but I haven't watched any of it. No.
Right. I mean, like I haven't seen any of it either. But I'm just not that big of a. I'm so anti Tracy Morgan on the stand up tip that I don't even have any desire to watch him on Netflix on the last OG because I don't really think Old Girl's funny either.
Tiffany Haddish.
I don't think she's that funny.
Yeah, neither do I.
You know, it's just funny how some of these guys is making millions and they're not funny. Like Dave Chappelle, in my opinion, he's the GOAT. Everything he touches funny. Everything come out of his mouth, he looks funny. You know what I'm saying? he looked funny on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
You know,
he does.
I'm a big Dave Chappelle dude. I mean, even with the Chappelle show. I mean, that shit, you put that shit in there now today, it's still funny. That came out 20 years ago.
It is. It is. And I always love seeing the clips when they come up here and there. You know what I'm saying? Like
the black white
points.
supremacists, you know, I mean, it's just, you can't make that stuff up. He's a genius. But yeah, I just heard Tracy Morgan like, man, I gotta call and say hell to the no. I'm just not a fan. Now, one thing he did say that was funny on the show though was that he made his money on the road when he got hit by that truck. That was funny. That was funny.
What do you think about Bill Cosby, spokesman, saying that Eddie Murphy sold out to Hollywood or something like that?
Man, he's just mad because Eddie Murphy was capping on him. He's just salty. That's all I chalk that up to. I think, it was below the belt. He gonna call Eddie Murphy out. Eddie Murphy be on hiatus. He comes out and laughs at Bill Cosby. And Bill Cosby people get mad. I mean, that's part of the nature, bro. You a stand-up, you a comedian. He's supposed to just not say nothing about that. He's just salty. I chop it up to that because Bill Cosby, if he stood out, he could have did something like that on Saturday Night Live. Just did a Saturday Night Live if he's above board. But it's Eddie Murphy, who did that, and he got mad because he made a joke out of Bill Cosby. So I mean, I ain't give that too much credence for real. I mean, I was just like, Bill Cosby mad.
Mm-hmm. All right, appreciate the flows, Black Russia. I agree with you.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, man, take it easy. It's Black Russia checking in. Yeah, that was no big deal. That was really no big deal. Like I said, you're a comic. You're supposed to let that roll off your back. So what? He said something about you. I mean, let's be real here. The irony is thick. And as Cassandra pointed out and others, that he didn't lie. He didn't make anything up. He said the truth. Simple as that. Listen, thank you for being here. My name is Nathan Ivey, live, local, and vocal. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 8 a.m., and we will chop it up. You never know who we might be talking with. And I want in the last couple days of the year, including next week, I want to look forward to 2020 and also look back at some of the better shows and highlights. I've been getting together some of the audio clips of some of the things I've been doing on the show. And so far, I think it'll sound very, very interesting. Just to look back at the year that was, and then we'll look forward as well. But have an excellent day, an excellent Monday. I know you're off. Maybe how many people are off already? Or you got a couple days you got to put in. Then you got the holiday. And then we'll back with you next week, and we'll be chopping it up. So have an excellent day. I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.